All things technology and business, focusing on news, technology, and current events that can affect your business technologies. I'm your host, Stephen Pearson. Tune into my show on Saturdays at 9 a.m. for discussions, situations, and solutions, and a wrap-up of this week in technology. Bring your problems and challenges businesses are facing today, and bring it inside the tech boardroom. Saturdays at 9 a.m. here on the Tan Talk Radio Network.
Hi, this is Patsy with a Z. Have you written a book? Want to write one? Or do you just enjoy reading? Listen to Joy on Paper every Tuesday morning at 11 o'clock for the story behind the book as I interview best-selling authors, agents, and publishers. Remember, that's Joy on Paper on Tampa Bay's Tan Talk Radio, 1340 WTAN.
Hi, it's Mike Riso, one of the professional golf instructors at Clearwater Country Club. Our daily golf tips are here to help you improve your game as simply and quickly as possible. Tune in each morning and we'll have a fresh new golf tip that'll help you with your putting, chipping, pitching, and sand shots, and lower your scores at distance and boost your confidence too. Like to play Clearwater Country Club? We're open to the public, and afternoon rates start at only $26.95. We're conveniently located on North Betty Lane off Drew Street. For tee times, call the Pro Shop at 727-461-4188 or find us on the web at clearwatercountryclub.com.
This is the Tan Talk Radio Network.
Welcome to the Karen Rizzo Show, where we will be discussing how to navigate the healthcare system and understand the business of aging in America. This 12-week show will be live on the Tan Talk Network every Tuesday at 10 a.m. I'm Karen Rizzo, author, consultant, patient advocate, and host, having worked in the healthcare industry for over 20 years now. Each week we're going to be featuring expert guests to discuss topics such as choosing quality healthcare providers, understanding Medicare benefits, Medicaid, veterans benefits, and tips to protect yourself as we all age. As we go into the Thanksgiving week and the holiday season, many people find themselves very stressed, anxious, and even depressed. So today we're going to be discussing tips to prevent holiday stress, anxiety, and depression. We're very grateful to have Michael Conway help us with this conversation today. He is a board member of NAMI, the National Alliance on Mental Illness, and a mental health counselor for over 20 years now. Thanks for being here, Michael.
Well, thank you very much, Karen, for having me on your show.
Well, what can you tell us to start the conversation that you've seen in your experience around the holiday season with different people's reactions?
Well, the holiday season has an impact on everyone. Sometimes it can be overly stressful. Anxiety will be a problem, finding time to do everything. And for those who may be suffering a loss, depression sets in. Mm-hmm. So I'd like to go over some points with you that will be helpful in dealing with stress, anxiety, and depression.
That's great. I'm sure our listeners will be most interested in all of your suggestions.
Good. Well, the first one I'd like to deal with is acknowledging our feelings, how we're feeling at the time, because one song on the radio, a movie, will impact all different types of emotions for individuals and take us back to different places in our lives. So sometimes it's very rewarding and happy, and other times it could be very depressing or create more anxiety for us. So I'd like to talk a little bit about that because during the holiday period, everybody wants you to be happy. Mm-hmm. And sometimes you just can't be happy, and that's okay. It is dealing with where you're feeling, whether it's grief or sadness, that's fine. But taking on a different role or trying to create yourself into a mood doesn't always work.
That's why they call it the joy and the sadness of the season.
Exactly. So I noticed in your book you made a referral to Dr. Elizabeth Kubler-Ross, who is the guru on grief and loss. Many people have loved ones or go through a divorce or any type of separation from their family, whether they're in another country, another city, or wherever, and it creates a lot of different grief, loss, stress for them. So there's 5 stages that Dr. Kubler deals with in the grieving process. The first is denial. People can't accept the fact that something has happened like this. It's followed by anger. There's bargaining, depression, and the final stage is acceptance. That's when a person is able to move on and not be locked to one of the former stages that they're in. So that's a helpful tip. The book, if anyone would like to read it, is On Death and Dying, again by Dr. Elizabeth Kubler-Ross.
Yeah, she's one of the leading experts, and I referenced her in my book on Aging in America, Navigating Our Healthcare System, page 150, under the hospice benefits and the ways that families cope when they are going through a loss. What are some of the suggestions you could give in terms of people who are isolated and don't have family here locally around the holiday season?
And I want to thank you for that, because it's a lead-in right into what people can do, reaching out and helping, getting away from being alone. Sometimes being alone is like being in a bad neighborhood all by yourself. So you want somebody around you.
Right.
And it's supportive, it's helpful. There's various organizations volunteering for help groups, whether it's churches. There's a phenomenal resource that we have right here in Pinellas and Pasco County. It's called RSVP.
Okay.
And it's Retired Senior Volunteer Program.
Yeah, I've worked with this organization before, and it's very easy to join them. They're always happy for the help. They volunteer in hospitals. They volunteer down at the VA system, museums, schools. It's a range of different environments that people can get involved in. They found that volunteerism is really a very healthy resource when someone is battling depression.
Absolutely. It's helping the individual to get out of themselves. By helping someone else or giving or supporting other people, it eliminates a lot of the grief in staying alone. It does not accelerate into depression. So I'd like to give you a phone number that you can contact RSVP.
Okay.
It's 727-823-4101, extension 126. And the gentleman that's leading that program of over 1,100 volunteers is Greg Rose.
Yes. And Greg, they've just expanded into Pasco County also, which is really exciting for the organization. I know they also have a website through the Pinellas Opportunity Council, and specifically RSVP, which is the Retired Senior Volunteer Program. Now, what would you suggest to people in terms of expectations? I know there's a lot of super moms out there and people, grandparents that feel that they need to be everything to everyone this time of year. What would your suggestions be to them?
Well, be realistic. The holidays don't have to be perfect or just like they were last year. As families change and grow in traditions and rituals, often change as well. Choose a few to hold on to, but be open and create new ones. For example, if your adult children can't come to your house, find new ways to celebrate together, such as sharing pictures, emails, videos, cards. Talk to each other and reminisce maybe about some of the previous ones. But don't put an additional burden on yourself that I have to have everything like all the other holidays that we've always experienced, which creates a lot of problems for people.
Yeah, and even now the technology is so up to date. We can Skype with our phones and use our computers. We find that especially in larger families, or if someone's health is deteriorating as they're getting older, sometimes the families are finding out that maybe their parents or grandparents aren't quite being cared for as they envisioned on their normal Sunday phone calls to them. What would you suggest to families that are trying to provide care for their parents and grandparents and at the same time have differences of how to do so?
Well, one of the main areas is meeting the person in their limitations. If they're severely ill or they're suffering from something, don't drag them all over the place to meet up to other people's expectations, because it creates more of a problem for them and for the family members. So if we can keep things realistic in dealing with the people that we're dealing with, it makes a better approach for the family, and it doesn't set the bar so high that you're never going to reach it anyway.
Right. I've always thought of my own growing up, where I always felt like I needed a vacation from my vacation. So sometimes lowering the stress level can do so. One of the things that a lot of people find is the financial stress that can hit around the holiday season. Just very quickly, do you have some suggestions on how to limit that financial stress?
Absolutely. First of all, stick to a budget. Before you go gift or food shopping or decide on how much money you can afford, keep it realistic. Keep it within your own realm. One of the bigger problems that a lot of people suffer from is post-holiday depression, when the Visa cards, bills start coming in and spending more than they had originally intended. So sometimes simple, like homemade gifts, cards. I used to work with homeless people, and we used to give them cards to send to family members during the holidays, and they would always want to apologize for some of their behaviors. We told them not to, and just to tell the person how much they're happy to be in their life.
Okay, yeah, those are all excellent suggestions. Well, we're going to take a quick break here, and then when we come back, we can talk a little bit more about planning ahead.
This is the Tan Talk Radio Network.
Want to improve your golf game? Here's a list of game-changing on-course classes and clinics this month at Clearwater Country Club. How to gain distance, easy out sand shots, how to master your chips, take the fear out of putting. Get your friends together for special group lesson savings. For information, call Mike at 727-776-8380. To schedule a tee time, call 727-461-4188.
Hi, this is Patsy with a Z. Have you written a book? Want to write one? Or do you just enjoy reading? Listen to Joy on Paper every Tuesday morning at 11 o'clock for the story behind the book, as I interview best-selling authors, agents, and publishers. Remember, that's Joy on Paper on Tampa Bay's Tan Talk Radio, 1340 WTAN.
AJ here from the Tee It Up Radio Network, America's top golf and lifestyle show, now celebrating 22 years. Tune in Sunday nights at 6 p.m. right here on the Tan Talk Radio Network. Expect tour coverage to one-on-ones with Hollywood's most passionate golfers and much more. So stay in the know with the Tee It Up show, Sundays starting at 6 p.m. right here on the Tan Talk Radio Network.
Show me the money.
It's the Employment Opportunity Hour with Gene Hodge every Thursday night from 7 until 8.
So the purpose of the show is to help you out there to find something that you enjoy doing instead of a job. And at the start of the show, I normally give out a formula, which I know will guarantee you to find the type of job that you want right now.
Find out the formula to an enjoyable job with Gene Hodge's Employment Opportunity Hour every Thursday night from 7 until 8 here on the Tan Talk Radio Network.
Show me the money.
This is the Tan Talk Radio Network.
Thank you for listening, and welcome to the Karen Rizzo Show, Navigating Our Healthcare System. The show is also based on the best-selling book, Aging in America, Navigating Our Healthcare System, which, for those who would like to follow along over the next 12 weeks, is available for $15 on Amazon, Nook, Kindle, and at agingguidebook1.com. We're also going to be posting on agingguidebook1.com phone numbers and resources after the show that if anyone would like to refer back to, they can. Now, if someone does not have access to the Internet, they can always send a $19 check to Elite Marketing, P.O. Box 7221, Seminole, Florida, 33775, and we are happy to send you your copy of the book with a host of different resources on all of the show's topics. Going back to our current speaker on tips to prevent holiday stress, anxiety, and depression, Michael, you had mentioned that planning ahead is so important for families as they're juggling. We see so many families in a sandwich generation where they have parents and grandparents, their own children, sometimes very small, and even a large percentage of our population of grandparents raising children these days. What would your suggestion be to families as they go into this holiday season?
This is a strong suggestion for anyone. It's all about planning and planning ahead. Taking the time to schedule and outline certain days that you're going to take care of certain tasks, like specific days for shopping or baking, visiting friends, other activities. You want to include all of this that'll help prevent the last-minute scrambling or things that you may have forgotten to buy or ingredients or different things like that. And make sure to line up help for party preparations, not only for the preparation, also for the cleanup. This alleviates a lot of the stress.
Yeah, delegation is so important. I know so many people have struggled to say the word no to family and friends, setting boundaries. What would your suggestion be of maybe kind ways to do that?
Well, learning to say no. Saying yes when you should say no can leave you feeling resentful and overwhelmed. Friends and colleagues will understand if you can't participate in every project or attend every party that you're invited to. It's not possible to say no when your boss asks you to work overtime, but try to remove something else from your agenda to make up for the lost time. And tell individuals why you just can't possibly do it. I think what's also very important with also saying no to certain events is saying yes to me and taking personal time just to have time alone and to relax as you're going to enjoy the holiday period.
So there's a balance between Christmas with the cranks and being able to still juggle all of our activities that we enjoy to do. What kind of healthy habits would you always recommend to your patients going through this season?
Well, don't let the holidays become a free-for-all. Suddenly it becomes a period of overindulgence, overeating, overdrinking, and over-shopping. These are areas that lead to a lot of stress and then later guilt, shame, different things like that. So it's maintaining a balance in what your healthy habits are. If you're on a diet or sticking to a regular diet, be mindful during this holiday period that you want to stay in that line, not to overindulge.
Okay. And I've found sometimes it's a little challenging to be able to do what's called self-care. What kind of activities for self-care would you recommend to people?
Well, one of the key ones is physical activities, that you want to still exercise, do whatever your regular regimen is, because we become a little lax during this period of time, or we'll justify with all the running and shopping and different things like that we have to do. Another is to just take a walk. Go to the beach. We have Florida here. Couldn't be any better. Take some time to be alone and just spend a night maybe stargazing, watching the sunset, doing something that's refreshing for you, or listening to soothing music. You can get a massage. Find a book that you may have been wanting to read, and this is a great time to start reading.
Absolutely. And for those families that tend to have a little bit more challenges in the depression and mental health area, or that have recently suffered a loss, what kind of professional help is out there if they feel like they're in a situation where someone is suicidal or just seems very combative, or even in a dangerous situation?
Well, depression takes on a height at this period of time. So untreated depression leads to suicide in many cases. So we want to first encourage people to have intervention numbers that you can call in the event that you feel you need help or assistance. And You may find yourself feeling sad or anxious or plagued by physical complaints, unable to sleep, irritability, hopelessness, isolation, and unable to face our regular routine schedules. If these feelings last a while, talk to your doctor, a mental health professional, or we have various talk lines and helplines that are throughout the Pinellas and Pasco counties to assist people in getting proper help. Sometimes just talking to the right person will alleviate a lot of the depression or some of the stress that individuals are going to, and it will instill a form of hope so that they can go to get proper care or medications if necessary.
Well, and I know one of the big changes this year was that Medicare is offering preventative therapies now, where it used to have to be very reactive, and a lot of our psychiatric hospitals also have voluntary programs. So someone can be, if they're feeling that they're needing that extra help, they can go and do a voluntary admission and hopefully avoid a Baker Act, which, what is your experience with people who have to be Baker Acted around this time of year?
First of all, let me explain Baker Act for some of our audience that may not be aware of it. It's a court-written document that will have the person taken to a facility for evaluation and observation for 72 hours. Before they are released, they have to meet the approval of a psychiatrist or a doctor who finds the person stable. Sometimes it will only take 3 days. Sometimes it may even take longer, or hospitalizations. But the main thing is it's a preventative from the person hurting themselves or someone else. It's not always suicidal. Sometimes during the holidays, people are carrying hostilities, anger, other issues that are going on. Maybe they went through a divorce that was ugly and they want to be with their children and they're not able to. It creates a lot of problems for individuals, and they make statements that they're going to kill somebody. The police are going to respond to this, and in many cases, instead of taking someone to jail, what they do is send them for psychiatric care.
Okay. And what crisis hotline numbers are available for people if they fear that they need the help themselves, or they have a loved one who they feel like is behaving erratically or might be a danger to themselves or someone else?
The first step along this line would be dialing 911.
Okay.
It's a crisis line that'll help the individual be taken to the proper facility to get the proper care and needed attention at that time. Now, sometimes when the individual can recognize it, it's better, because then they'll be recommended to go to their local hospital, to the ER room, or call their doctors for further assistance, and the doctor may refer them then or make arrangements for them to go in for an evaluation.
Okay. And also, we know that if somebody has Medicare and is feeling like they need some additional, maybe a social worker consultation, psychiatrist evaluation, or psychologist, they can call their primary care physician, and the primary care can make arrangements through a Medicare certified home health agency to send someone out to assist as well. And this is a program that, as an industry, we had to fight really hard to get approved through the Medicare benefits. So it's something I would encourage listeners to take advantage of, even as much as physical therapy. If you get back and you're visiting a loved one and you see they're having trouble walking, they're at risk for falls, call their primary care doctor and have a physical therapist come out over the holiday season. They're happy to do so and work with them, because the last thing we'd like to see is an increase in hospitalizations during this time.
It's absolutely correct. There are preventatives from hospitalization. Just because you're making the call for help does not necessarily mean that the individual will be going for hospitalization. As you brought out, there's various other resources that they can go to get the needed assistance to carry them through what is a crisis, and allow other people to determine the nature of the crisis, how much they may need to get the proper health care that they're going to be needing.
Okay. And just a little bit about NAMI, the National Alliance for Mental Illness. They have a crisis helpline as well?
Yes, they do. NAMI is a grassroots organization. They do not treat people, but they have resources to direct different individuals to. They also have meetings, support groups of dealing with peer-to-peer, family-to-family, where people are able to come and meet and discuss what's going on, how maybe they handled situations from those that have been around longer to somebody who's new, because many times people in the mental health field or family members of mental health, they don't know where to go or how do we handle this. And a lot of times, as you know, they come up to brick walls. It's good to have people who've already been there help them to get through different things. And there's education for family members to have a better understanding of mental health issues of their loved ones so that they can notice certain signs that may be coming on. If the person is starting to suffer through more depressive, maybe they need medication evaluation, or they may have stopped taking their medication. They need to go see their doctor and to get the proper care. And it's a family disease that all of them can work on, and it makes everybody more knowledgeable, but it also gives them resources of who to call, and they develop friends within the organization and in their fellowship.
And I know that NAMI also has like quarterly events like a picnics for people that are utilizing some of the programs and resources that they offer as a nonprofit organization. I know their crisis line, for those that are listening, is 727-791-3434. Everything is free. It is a nonprofit, and it can offer just a resource of different free programs or very low-cost interventions that families can use if they feel like they need that assistance. Also, 211 is another referral agency here in the Tampa Bay area that people can use. And Hillsborough County has a crisis hotline of 813-234-1234, and Pinellas County has 727-791-3131. Again, all these phone numbers will be up on agingguidebook1.com after the show, so if anybody does need them or needs those resources, feel free to utilize them. We wanted to also thank our sponsor, one of our sponsors for today. Always There Home Care Agency provides private duty home care, and I'll give you some more information about them when we get back from the break. We thank you very much for your listening, and when we come back, I'm going to give you home care resources as well as some other things that you can utilize if you need to.
This is the Tan Talk Radio Network.
Hi, this is Prior Smith speaking from Toronto. Again this winter season, upwards of 4 million Canadians are spending vacation time in Florida. And each day they're continuing a 62-year tradition, tuning in Canada Calling on radio. Their daily up-to-the-minute news from home on the Tan Talk Radio Network. Join us each day, Monday through Saturday at 9 a.m. and 12 noon. The latest news from home continuing a 62-year broadcast tradition, right here on the Tan Talk Radio Network.
Hi, this is Paul Malloy, host of Freedom Works, the Paul Malloy Show, heard every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 10 to 11 a.m. Eastern Time, here on the Tan Talk Radio Network. Please join us and our guests as we focus a libertarian spotlight on what's happening in our politics and culture. If you thought our Constitution and the Declaration of Independence really did stand for individual freedom, then you'll be coming to the right place. Again, that's Freedom Works, the Paul Malloy Show, every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 10 to 11 a.m. Eastern Time on the Tan Talk Radio Network.
Let's Go Bowling, heard on the Tan Talk Radio Network every Wednesday, 11 a.m. to 12 Eastern Time. Sponsored by 12 Strike and Innovative Ball Spinner. If you bowl, if you haven't bowled in a while, or if you never bowled, why don't you be one of 65 million people have bowled last year? Listen to the tip of the week. Bowling stars, old and new. Let's Go Bowling Show, gobowlingshow.com.
Hi, this is Tim Del Toro.
And I'm Lou Angelwolf, and we are the Grease Gurus.
Our show is broadcast every Saturday morning live at WTAN Tan Talk Radio 1340.
That's 10 o'clock every Saturday morning for an automotive forum that is flavored with humor and insight.
We encourage you to call in and be part of the Grease Gurus show.
We'd love to have you, and we will certainly help you find your inner grease.
This show is sponsored by Tim's Performance Service Center in beautiful Tarpon Springs at 906 Verona Place, and you can reach us personally at 727-543-1601.
Aha.
This is the Tan Talk Radio Network.
My mother called me to her side. She said, son, you're growing up now. Pretty soon you'll take a bride. And then she said, just because you become a young man now, there's still some things.
Thank you for tuning in to the Karen Rizzo Show, navigating our healthcare system. We are discussing tips to prevent holiday stress, anxiety, and depression. One of the suggestions was given on a Medicare home care therapy program that Mr. Conway was outlining. Wanted to give also an additional resource, a company called Always There Home Care Services, which is a local family-owned home health agency. Some people around this time of year do find that they need someone to sit with a loved one, an aging grandparent or parent, and they have a strong commitment to providing a quality, compassionate, affordable home care with a 15-step recruitment process to guarantee a safe and professional caregivers always. They offer a free obligation, in-home consultation, and will even provide 7 days a week or as little as 1 hour a week bathing, dressing, grooming, meal preparation, and light housekeeping. So if you're interested, please call Sue Ross at 727-547-2500, or you can visit them at alwaystherehcs.com. and tell them you heard about them on the Karen Rizzo Show. Now, this does not require a doctor's order. This is just simply if you need an extra hand around the holidays, you need somebody to come in and do some personal care, or maybe help with all those delegation ideas, and some people don't have someone to delegate to. So one of the things I really meant was that you highlighted, Mr. Conway, was about having the healthy habits this time of year. You know, it seems like every year we go through all the commercialization of the holiday season, the buy, eat, and then in January all the gym commercials come out and everybody's going to try to join a gym to get rid of all the excess pounds. How do you find a balance in between all of our obligations and everything that the families expect and still maintaining our health?
Well, one of the important factors that would be, if you already have a regimen and you have a diet plan, stick to it. Because it's easy to fall into thinking, well, it's the holidays. I could eat a little bit more, I could drink a little bit more, and I can exercise a little bit less, which creates problems in other areas. Your body is pretty much regimented as far as getting the proper amount of sleep. Now you start adding in all these other factors, it creates other problems for you. And I think you brought out a very good point. Let's try to prevent the New Year's resolutions, which in more cases than not are over in February. Oh. So if we can avoid some of these pitfalls in just maintaining our normal behavior, eating, drinking, and not go to excess, but yet maybe we might even want to exercise more. Take a walk in the park. Go for a walk along the beach. Get out and do something so that it makes you feel better about this. If you're going through stress, there is nothing better than going to the beach. Mm-hmm. Just to get relaxation, any water, go to a park, watch people walking with their dogs, children playing in a playground. It's very healthy. And that's what we want to look for during this period so that we don't start beating ourselves up with guilt, shame, past experiences that did not happen the way that we thought they should, or not having people in our lives that we love for whatever reason are no longer in our lives.
Yeah, and working with the older population, aging population, they seem to have suffered more loss the older they get, and that can be especially difficult during this time frame if they've lost a husband or a wife or children, brothers, sisters. What kind of grief interventions or grief programs does NAMI and some of the other mental health organizations try to recommend for people who are really suffering through this time of year?
Well, one of the organizations that comes to mind quickly, many know them as Suncoast Hospice, which is now Empath, provide various support groups for people who've lost individuals. Sometimes we always think that it's an older person that may have died. Sometimes they're children. So they have various support groups that help to impact and encourage one another to get through the crisis period of loss of a loved one.
Right. Many people have always identified with Suncoast Hospice as only end of life, but we know under the umbrella of Empath Health, they've gone through a lot of changes, and they are now currently offering all kinds of intervention programs, support groups, lunch and learns. So yes, they're an excellent resource as well. What would your recommendation be about joining church groups or getting involved in church activities around this time of year?
This is a wonderful time for fellowshipping, getting to know people, helping other people. It seems like when we volunteer for certain things, we are rewarded more, in some cases, more than the individual that's the recipient of our help. Because during the holiday periods, it's a good opportunity to view where you're at in your life, whether it's spiritually or moving forward to get past some of the issues that have clouded you down and created a depressed state.
Right. And I found through the years that I know even volunteering at a soup kitchen or getting involved if you don't have any place to be or have family locally here, that sometimes providing, a pie for a church or getting involved with the children, preschool activities and some of the nativity scenes or the different organizations that are out there can be very rewarding. And you do get to see people that have less than you have and really make you to count your blessings and be so appreciative. In the book on Aging in America, Navigating Our Healthcare System, the mental health resource chapter has a list of different websites and 800 phone numbers for people that are struggling with different specific diagnoses and different diseases. So that, again, is another resource for those that are out there that feel like they need a little bit more help and they need to know where to turn to if their grief, depression, or their loss starts to become overwhelming to them. I know recently I had a client that was very, very, very loyal and dedicated to her parents and took care of them for over 30 years. And when her father finally passed away, she had a really difficult time with the transition and going through that whole transition period because as a full-time caregiver, now she didn't have the purpose in life that she needed. So what would you suggest to people that are looking for that new purpose in life?
Find a new place that you can replace helping someone else. You mentioned some facilities that during the holiday periods, they may have a Thanksgiving dinner, Christmas dinner. One of them that comes to mind is St. Vincent de Paul Center of Hope in St. Petersburg. It's on 16th Street, 5th Avenue North. They're always looking for volunteers. They feed 300 people 3 times a day. They're all homeless, and this is a great avenue for people to interact and see, as you said, count your blessings. Be grateful for what you have and be grateful that you have an opportunity to help someone else. Salvation Army is another one that is always looking for volunteers. Toys for Tots, Elves for the Elderly. There are various organizations that we can get involved in this time of the year, and it'll carry us through the period and keep us busy, but more importantly, we're able to help others.
Right, and that's so important this time of year that as a community we band together. We try to check in on our neighbors. If somebody's not going to get their mail, if they're not getting out of the house, there could be some reason for that. And it's a good idea to build that relationship with them so that if they do need the help, that they're getting that help as well. I know giving back, there's a lot of people that have a stigma against, assisted living or some of the outpatient senior living communities, but I know they are very, very active this time of year. And a lot of people don't realize that they can attend a lot of their meet and greets and their holiday parties and their holiday get-togethers at no charge. They're usually happy to have other people, other family members, embracing friends, relatives, people that are visiting from up north. And I know communities, like Princeton Village of Largo, the Oaks of Clearwater, which advertise here on the station, have a very active calendar that for somebody who is lonely, has gone through recent loss, could be in a position to make new friends. And even if they're not ready to move into a community, it's still good to have be on their mailing list, have a relationship with their sales counselors or their activity directors, because they do try to really engage and stimulate their seniors, which is very commendable to see. People are living longer, and it's nice to see them active and happy and not just sitting around playing bingo. It's a little bit of a change. I mean, we have some of these communities doing yoga 3 times a week and all kinds of different. I know one community down in St. Petersburg, they have weekly boat rides for their residents that are, 65 and older, and all these activities are usually free or at a very low charge, if at all. Again, I know you've worked with a lot of the different nonprofit organizations. For those that missed it earlier, we also recommended RSVP if you're looking to volunteer. They're always looking for volunteers, and they are a great program. They're all over the Pinellas Pasco area. Greg Rose is their director, and he's happy to help people in any way that they can. And most importantly, as we're going into this holiday season, it becomes more important to focus on self-care while we balance the needs of all our loved ones. I know there's a lot of different people. Some people use meditation. There's a lot of different avenues that people utilize for self-care. What are some of the tips that you've really tried to recommend for your patients?
Lessening stress in your life is an important factor, and finding positive people to be around. The last thing you want to be around are negative people when you're in a negative state of mind.
Debbie Downers.
You've got it. So you want to be with people of the same purpose and cause in life, church groups. You want to take time for meditation, fellowship with other people. If you're involved in a 12-step program, you might want to increase your meetings and spend more time in your support groups. Be more interactive, phone calls, texting. I mean, we have means now today that people can instantly get into almost a group. I was listening to your point about the other organizations for volunteering, which is very happy. But I think one thing that we can do is look in our own communities. Look for people maybe on our block. You brought out the elderly who may not get out very often. Wouldn't it be nice maybe to take some baked cookies or a pie or even a meal to them? Mm-hmm. What a gift.
Right, and many full-time caregivers feel even more overwhelmed because this is the time of year that while they're taking care of their older mother, father, the family comes in town to help sometimes, which it's not always exactly more help. So if you do see a full-time caregiver, ask them not just what you can do to help, but ask them, do you need extra groceries? Would you need someone to come in and sit with your loved one so you can get out and do the laundry or run some errands or get your nails done this time of year or get your hair done? I mean, those practical things are ways that we can reach out to others in our community, show kindness, show the true spirit of the holiday season, if you will, in a very practical and a very meaningful way. And I think as we go through this, the depression lessens. We find more quality ways to celebrate the holiday season, and we also find that we're going to make some new friends along the way. I mean, sometimes you find things out about your neighbors you had no idea they were struggling with, just by bringing over a plate of cookies, like you suggest, or maybe offering to run some errands for them or do their lawn or whatever it takes. Most importantly, we just want people to come away with the idea that there are resources out there. There's ways to successfully manage the holiday season, both physically, emotionally, and financially. There's ways and resources and people willing to help if you ever are in a crisis, and that would definitely be a resource for you. And then there's programs under Medicare that can provide additional assistance also as needed. Now, your primary care doctor is the one that would need to set that up, and that's their primary responsibility. So we did just want to sum up really quickly that if you're interested and you'd like to follow along with the 12-week series that we're going to be discussing navigating our healthcare system as we age in America, the book that this entire program is based on can be purchased for $15 on Amazon, Nook, Kindle, and at agingguidebook1.com. If you don't have access to the internet, you can always mail a $19 check to Elite Marketing, P.O. Box 7221, Seminole, Florida 33775, and we're happy to send this to you. The book is based on practical resource guides for seniors, caregivers, and families. We have a for-profit healthcare system here in America, and any way that we can protect ourselves by making quality choices and achieving a good quality balance is going to be helpful. Now, you can also follow us on our Facebook page, The Karen Rizzo Show, Twitter, Instagram, at Karen Rizzo Show 1, and then it'll also be available on Periscope and YouTube as well. The other idea that we wanted to leave everybody with going into this Thanksgiving week and this holiday season is to try to be there for each other, try to be there for yourselves, so that we can actually be a resource and we can get to the point where we're all living healthy, wealthy, wisely through the holiday season. Again, I'm Karen Rizzo. This is the Karen Rizzo Show. And if you're interested in more information, we have all of this that's going to be posted on the website, which is agingguidebook1.com. If you look under Tan Talk Network, all of the upcoming shows are going to be listed and some of the guests. I'm happy to announce next week, with the end of open enrollment for Medicare recipients ending, we're going to have Diane Daniels, who's the author of the Medicare Survival Guide on, and she's also the host of a podcast called Medicare Nation, and she's going to be here to discuss traditional Medicare versus Advantage plans. We only will have a week left in the open enrollment period when she comes and meets with us next Tuesday. So I recommend anyone listening. We're also going to be able to have people calling in on that show. So please get your questions ready. If you've had a good, bad, or otherwise experience with your Medicare plan, this is a great time to be able to tap into a wonderful resource. And Michael Conway, we appreciate you being here. We appreciate the information that you've given us, as well as the information on NAMI. Any closing thoughts or suggestions you'd like to share with our listeners?
First of all, I'd like to thank you for allowing me this opportunity to share some of this information, and I hope everyone has a wonderful Thanksgiving.
Okay. I just had also one other question for you. I know you've worked with specifically with patients with substance abuse through the years. This time of year can create a lot of triggers. What would be the recommendations that you would give for those? And I know a lot of family members, substance abuse is one of the highest challenges and the biggest cost to our healthcare system today. Patients and humans that are struggling with substance abuse. What would be your recommendation, aside from, I know you mentioned increasing AA meetings, things like that, but are there some other practical things that they can do so that they don't fall off the wagon, as you will?
Yes. One of the things that comes to mind is having a plan. If they're going to a party or even around family members, know what you're there for. Go there to visit and then leave, especially if there's going to be drinking or excessive partying. There's a time to come and then there's a time to leave. And if you feel in need, you may want to bring a friend that's in the program with you so that they can be supportive and you don't fall into a relapse situation. Many cases, it may not even happen that day. When they get back a day later and they've overcome the party, in their mind, they'll gravitate back to it. So drawing close to your support team and staying busy with things that are going to be productive in maintaining your sobriety.
Okay. And the sponsor's role usually comes into play this time of year. Are there, aside from NA and AA that locally, are there any other resources that you know of through any of the local hospitals that can also assist?
Yes, many of the hospitals can assist in this. There's psychiatric facilities that are outpatient. Suncoast Mental Health, Directions for Living. They have support systems too, ongoing therapy, sources for medications when necessary, and the availability to see a doctor so that they're maintaining their psychiatric condition. Because if a person relapses into their mental health status, they'll relapse generally back to their substance abuse. Or if they relapse in their substance abuse, then they relapse back into their mental health. So it's a circle that keeps going, and only the person is able to maintain and know where they're at. So when they need help, don't think twice about asking for it.
Right. And we know around this time of year, like you said, it triggers a lot of emotions, people dealing with grief, loss, maybe a nasty divorce, trying to rebuild their lives. This can be very difficult, especially if there's children or grandchildren in the picture. One of the things that we found as a healthcare community is that we have many different resources and companies that are happy to help. There's home care companies that I know that if you contact them directly, they will go to your primary care physician. They'll get a nurse to come assess you for free, and they'll make sure that they get the orders that they need to provide whatever assistance is needed, whether it be case management, social services, whether it be any kind of a caregiver to sit, and especially under the Medicaid program and Medicare programs now that we finally have some of those additional resources. So one of the things I wanted to say to you today was thank you for all of the help and the expertise. Hopefully our listeners are learning. We have such a variety of people in our community that suffer from different, not just illnesses, but depression, grief, loss this time of year. And our goal is that everyone gets to enjoy the holiday season and doesn't have anything extreme happen to them. Again, a lot of this information is covered in the book, Aging in America, Navigating Our Healthcare System, which is on Amazon, Nook, Kindle, and agingguidebook1.com. Also, if you have any specific additional questions, feel free to message or contact us through the website, which is agingguidebook1.com. One of the things I wanted to also outline is that the City of Largo is going to be having their first ever Senior Empowerment and Education Day on Saturday, January the 30th at the Largo Community Center. Now, this is a group event that is teamed up with the City of Largo Senior Services Division. It's going to be a free lunch and learn open to the community. And again, all that information is listed on agingguidebook1.com. So if you have more information, you need more information, feel free to send us a message, a question. We know navigating the healthcare system can be extremely complex, and the decisions that are being made affect us greatly later. But next week, I'm happy to really announce that we're going to have Diane Daniels discussing the Medicare Survival Guide. She's also has a podcast called Medicare Nation, which is heard nationwide, actually. She's been in the insurance industry for over 20 years. She's actually my go-to person when people have questions on should I be on a Medicare Advantage plan versus traditional Medicare? What do we need to do? What don't we need to do? So meet us back here December 1st. It's December already at 10 a.m. on the Tan Talk Network, and we can check out the show's Facebook page, The Karen Rizzo Show, for announcements on upcoming guests and topics. And the call-in number is going to be listed there as well. So we want to really appreciate and wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving, a safe one. Please be sure not to drink and drive. Make sure to Uber if you need to, or call a taxi or have a designated driver. But we look forward to continuing the conversation with you on Aging in America and Navigating Our Healthcare System next Tuesday, 10 a.m. on the Tan Talk Network. Have a great holiday season.